Hello? How are we doing? I literally am driving the same circle that I always drive in, and I turned down the wrong road. How does that even happen? I was turning to drive past Tanya Street, and I turned down the street. I'm like, where am I? I don't know what, I thought I was turning down the right street. I don't know why. Oh my God, what a day. It's been a great day. I've been in a really, really good mood all day long today. I had my counseling appointment, and I overslept a little bit. I was a little late to my counseling appointment today, but that was okay. We're all late to things sometimes, right? Somebody asked in my video the other day, how often are you late? I'm really not that late to things. I'm pretty much on time to stuff now. I used to have an issue with being late a lot, but I'm not really anymore. Today was kind of a fluke. The thing is that before I leave, typically, for anything that I do, I have to take the dogs out, I have to put Boo and Tucker in their house, I have to get PP his medicine, and I have to start uploading my vlog. So it's 15 minutes of stuff that I have to do before I leave the house. And so if I'm not up an hour in advance before I leave, if I wake up and I'm it just doesn't work out. But I'm also not in a position where I'm going to allow myself to get super stressed about being late anymore, if that makes sense. So I usually try to always give myself the time. The problem is I had one of these alarm clocks. Maybe I'll go in and get one tonight because I need to get another one. I had an alarm clock that I had gotten at Walmart, and it was one of these super loud alarm clocks that's I hate it, okay? I hate this alarm clock. But I had it plugged in by the bathroom, and so I would put the alarm up on my phone. I would schedule 2 alarms. Alex schedules 6 alarms, and they go off every 2 minutes. It drives me nuts. But anyway, it gets him up. He doesn't get up though until the 5th alarm, and I'm like, why don't you just only schedule he's because it kind of helps me start waking up. I'm like, okay, whatever works. So anyway, but that alarm that I had, so I would have to get up and walk across the hall, not across the hall, I would have to walk across the room towards the bathroom and shut it off and go like that, and I can't tell you how many times I do that, and then I would stumble back to, and PP would be sleeping, I go, 5 more minutes, PP, 5 more minutes, I say this out loud to the dog, 5 more minutes, PP, 5 more minutes, and, but the alarm broke, okay? I think I hit it one too many times because it just wouldn't stay stuck on the right time. So I just finally threw it away. It's literally, this alarm clock was $5.99. It was so cheap, but it was super loud. It's one of these alarm clocks when you go and it has this red tag on it, and it's super loud alarm. It was super loud. So Alex has recently though been listening to every night before he goes to bed, he puts on this app, and he showed it to me tonight, and I was like, oh my God, I had that app on my iPad back in the day, which my iPad I don't even use anymore, but I had first generation iPad. I used the hell out of that thing. But the iPad is this one where you can pick different sounds, and he said, well, I made Miami in a rainstorm, and so you can hear the beach, and you can hear the ocean, and then it's a rainstorm that has city sounds to it, and so he makes it, it's so cute, and he falls asleep listening to this, and so he said he made a special one for me today because I napped tonight after we got back from dinner. He was watching TV in bed and I was napping, and so he made a special one for me, and I listened to it for 15 minutes, and I was like, okay, that's really distracting. I can't listen to it right now. But so yeah, I got up a little late today, and I got up a little late because I stayed up way too late last night watching Orange is the New Black. I'm almost done. I only have 2 more episodes left. I will not ruin it for you, but can I just tell you that Debbie and Karen, who Debbie is played by Mackenzie Phillips from One Day at a Time, is everything in Orange is the New Black that I didn't know that I needed. Okay, are you guys watching this? Oh my God. I'm loving those sisters. So there's this, I'm not going to ruin it for you, this won't ruin it, but there's these 2 sisters that are kind of they're rivals, and it's, the whole story is fantastically woven through the season. And, I was thinking a lot about this today, about the writing to this story, because I didn't really love the last couple seasons of Orange is the New Black. I have to say, this is one of the best seasons of Orange is the New Black that I've ever seen. I really miss all of the women in the situation that they were in before, in the old prison. And there's like a lot, like they're scattered all over. It's very interesting how they went about it. Characters come out halfway through the season that you wondered where they were. So it's like pretty much all the same people. And I think those that aren't there, they're gonna be bringing back. It's so well done. It almost feels like they have all new writers. There's storylines about the workers that are fantastic. Like, you learn more about the workers this time. The stuff I really liked. One of my favorite characters this season is actually that female warden with the long hair. Like, I really like her this season. I like her storyline this season. I don't know. Like, you get to see a very human side of a lot of people. They kind of flip the script a little bit, so to speak. But I was thinking about it today because when I was growing up, I wanted to write for soap operas. I think I've talked about this on here before. And, like, I would watch soap operas with my grandma. Back in the day, my little grandma. And, so, like, in the summer, like, if my parents, like, traveled, or during the day, like, after my parents got divorced, my mom got her master's degree, and, like, one summer, my mom was in school a lot. Like, she went and got a lot of graduate stuff, graduate degrees, and she worked, anyway, after my parents got divorced. So I had a babysitter for one whole summer. That was fantastic. And then after that, and she and I would, like, ride bikes, and we would, like, go down to McDonald's and get lunch and stuff like that. She was really cool, anyway. And she was in the choir. She was, like, in the best choir in high school, and so we would sing together and stuff. She was really sweet. She was really cool. My mom, like, years later would always be like, I wonder what happened to her. I'm like, I don't know, Mom. But anyway, but other than that, like, I would be at my grandma's house or my grandma's apartment, and my grandma, when I was growing up, she watched, like, soaps, and so from 11 to 12, we would watch The Price is Right, and my grandma, who smoked like a chimney, Salem Lights, she would sit there and drink coffee and, like, drink those little Cokes and, like, the bottles of Coke. My grandma loved those. And so she would drink coffee and smoke cigarettes. I remember she had this, like, metal ashtray. My grandma had this ashtray that was, like, she had these little metal ashtrays that she would use when she was at the table because her friends would come over. This, like, got into a totally different direction. Anyway, I was thinking about the fact that I wanted to write for soap operas, and then that turned into me wanting to write for television shows, and then that turned into me, like, thinking about that today because I was thinking about how fantastic the writing is on Orange is the New Black this season, of which I stayed up way too late watching last night. But it's funny thinking about my grandma, like, looking back on it. So I would be with my grandma a lot in the summers, and she, like, we would watch, I don't know what, like, quiz, we would call them quiz shows, not game shows back in the day, if you remember that. And we would watch, like, Sale of the Century and all those shows. But anyway, Pyramid. And, but from 11 to 12, we would watch The Price is Right. And we would sit on my grandma's couch, we would sit on my grandma's couch, and it was like this weird material, I remember. And we would sit there, and she had this, like, stand that was, like, this tall stand, and then she had this, like, glass ashtray that sat in this stand, and I could just see her over there, like, ashing in this, like, and she would, like, shout out numbers of The Price is Right. She'd, like, and then she'd be like, 32 cents. I'd be like, Grandma, how do you know it? She's like, I shop all the time at the grocery store. She, like, knew everything on The Price is Right, like, no lie. She always wanted to go on that show. And, but we would watch that from 11 to 12, and then during the news, from like 12 to 1 or whatever, 12 to 12:30, we would watch the news, and we would eat lunch. And she had TV trays, these metal TV trays. I can totally see them in my head. Actually, when she passed away, my mom was like, is there anything from Grandma's apartment that you want? I was like, yeah, the TV trays. Is that not so funny? I don't even know what happened to them now. But they were like these metal TV trays. They had, like, flowers on them. But do you guys not know, if you don't know what TV trays are, they're like these things that, like, fold up, like, I'll just show you, because we actually have one at our house, and they're considered TV trays, but they're also called, like, computer trays or something. I got it at Walmart. Ours is, like, black, and it's, like, very nice. It was like $20 at Walmart. But anyway, So my grandma would bring these TV trays over and we would sit on the couch. We would watch the news and while we were eating, and it was always like some kind of soup. So it was like chicken noodle soup and like a grilled cheese sandwich or tomato soup or like a tuna fish salad sandwich, and we would sit there and eat it, and then like some kind of like dessert, like which was like a cookie or a brownie. She always got those Archway cookies. I talked about how I love those lemon Archway cookies. It was always like some kind of cookie. I remember she kept her cookies and her chips like in a drawer that you would pull out, and it also had her towels in there. But anyway, oh, I can see her little apartment in my head right now. It's like this little kitchen that she had, and anyway, and she was always baking pies. She was always cooking. My grandma was a great cook. This is my grandma that went to prison, yes. It's funny that I'm talking about her while talking about Orange is the New Black, but I didn't know that at the time that my grandma had gone to prison. But anyway, I remember like when Caroline and I would stay overnight, and this must have been when we were really little, because my grandma had this bedroom, and do you guys know what percale sheets are? She had Wonder Kale sheets, and they were like these little pink and white flowers. And Wonder Kale and percale, like when you wash them a lot, they become almost kind of like satiny. They're like this unbelievable material. And I also have those sheets, because when my grandma died, I wanted those sheets too. And I can remember years later, I tried to find some new ones, and my mom goes, "Do you realize like how cheap those sheets are?" She's like, you know, they're not like high quality sheets. And I'm like, oh my God, they're like the nicest sheets we've ever had. And I still have the pillow. I'll have to bring those out. I still have the pillowcases today of the little pink and white pillowcases that were my grandma's. But my grandma would sleep in the one bedroom by the window with like these curtains, and she was like on the ground floor right next to like a main street. And then my cousin Caroline and I would sleep when we, like, you know, our parents went out of town or something, or had date night weekend. She and I would sleep in this little twin bed next to my grandma. And my grandma had this stack of, she would read these Harlequin romance novels, and she would read them like late into the night, and then she would finally, and like Caroline would be like, "I wonder when Grandma's going to sleep." And I'd be like, "I don't know." And then finally Grandma would go to sleep, and I can remember we would lay there, and my grandma, because she smoked so damn much, she snored like a freight train. Oh my God, she snored so much. And Caroline would go, "I can't sleep, Grandma's snoring so loud." And we would just get laughing so hard about my grandma. My little grandma, when she died, was 4'10", and she had osteoporosis so bad. My mom always said, like, my entire life growing up, she'd be like, "You have to drink your milk or you're gonna end up real short like your grandma." My grandma was always short, but she like lost like 3 inches before she died. My mom would always say, Grandma used to be 5'1", but when she died, she was 4'10" because she didn't drink her milk. She had osteoporosis. My mom would always say that to me. Isn't it so funny how people say that kind of stuff and then they start believing it, you know? But anyway, my grandma would make this tuna fish salad sandwich. Oh my God, I love tuna fish salad so much. Even like, I mean, that was like one of my favorite things up to the day that I became a vegetarian. I would go to Subway and get the tuna fish salad, and I don't even want to hear. I've heard from people that work there how disgusting their tuna is, so I don't need to hear all about all that. But my grandma and my mom made the best tuna fish salad sandwiches in the entire world, and they would, my mom and her would put a little bit of mustard in it with it, and then they would cut up those sweet jerkin pickles and they would mix it in there. It was so good. And then they would put it on whole wheat bread, toasted, with little sweet jerkin pickles on the side, and like potato salad and chips. Oh my God, I miss it so much. And what was so funny was that my mom would tell me these stories about one of her favorite things when she was growing up with my Aunt Kathy in the summer was that they would go on the roof in the summer and they would eat tuna fish salad sandwiches and like look at the stars and talk about wanting to be movie stars and stuff like that. And so they would make like three tuna fish salad sandwiches each, you know? And I said, "Really?" And she would say, and it's so funny because I love the books by Linda Berry, the Down the Street Kid books that are about the two sisters, Marlis and May Monn. And I think to some degree the reason why I love those books so much is because they remind me kind of my mom and my aunt growing up. Like, my mom and my aunt were very, very poor growing up. They moved like 10 houses, 10 school districts, and like the entire time they grew up. But the last house that they lived in was at 52nd and Central in Indianapolis, and it's like downtown. I should go right now and go look at this house while I'm talking about this. I'm gonna do this. Okay, because I haven't been there I wonder if I can find it. I don't think I've been there since my mom passed away. But like a year before my mom passed away, she wanted to see it. So we drove by and my mom was like, I cannot believe, if I can find this house, I'm gonna absolutely die. I love doing like little wild goose chases while I'm doing like these videos. I think it's kind of fun. But anyway, people will be like, why are you recording our house? So when we drove by, my mom was like, she goes, the house is for sale. She wanted to see it. She hadn't seen it in forever. And so I drove by the house, and they had redone the whole front of the house. The house was like really nice and stuff. Very small, like probably less than 1,000 square feet. And my mom said, she got out and she got a paper because it was for sale. And the house was listed for like $375. And she got back in and she goes, I cannot believe that this house is $375. She goes, when we lived here, I can't remember how much it was. It was like $45 or $90. It was like a really small amount that they paid for like their rent every month. And my mom was like grandma could hardly afford it. And it was like $90 a month or $40, $50, so some small amount of money, you know? The house is a shotgun house. And what that means is like when you come in the front door, it's like living room, small dining room, and then the kitchen is in the back. And I can remember like, I must have been in that house at some point. I think my grandma lived there until I was she moved into these apartments called Knob in the Woods. I don't know how I remember that, but she lived in these apartments called Knob in the Woods. And all the people that lived above her, like, worked at, maybe it was a different house. She lived in a different house before she lived in that apartment, so maybe it wasn't that house. Maybe I was never in that house. I bet I wasn't. Well, like, I guess I couldn't have been because my grandma went to prison. And so she would have lost, wouldn't that make sense if she lost the house? I don't know. Although she was married, so I wonder if my mom's stepdad would have stayed in the house. I don't know, like that whole situation's so weird, isn't it? But anyway, see, this is why I'm like so pissed that I don't know my own history, you know? There's so many things that I want to know. But I can remember whatever kitchen I was in. It wasn't the apartment kitchen because I can see it. It was like stove and sink, and it was all white, and it was very old-fashioned, and it had like this white tile floor, and it went right, and it had this screen door. Yeah, it was back in a house. It wasn't the apartment because this was when my grandma had... Now, y'all know I use this name as a joke in my drama videos, but my grandma had a black lab named Misty. This is a true story. And when Misty died, my grandma kept pictures, 8x10s, of Misty's face and kept them in her house. I know, my mom was always so embarrassed by that. And, my mom's stepdad, she was so embarrassed of him when she was in high school. She said that he kept a crow in a cage and a catfish in a tank. Like, seriously, she did not want to have friends over to the house. She goes, your Aunt Kathy never cared about that stuff. She was never embarrassed of it. She goes, I was totally embarrassed of it. She goes, we had a crow in our kitchen. She was like, Peter, it was ridiculous. And so, anyway, but, I think a lot of that, too, is like, because my mom had such huge issues with her stepfather. I think that's why my mom like had such animal rights issues too, because he was like such a hunter and stuff. My mother always loathed hunting, and like she hated it. She always just thought it was disgusting, and I think that's kind of probably why. Anyway, so this house was a shotgun house, so it had, but I remember standing in some kitchen of my grandma's, and it was like she was cooking, and it was just like hot. It was so hot, and I can remember that screen door just banging open and closed, and she's like yelling at Misty and the dog, and the whole house smells like cigarette smoke and whatever. But, so when we went to go look at this house, which I'm on my way to right now, my mom was explaining to me that it was like, you know, like living room, small dining room, and then kitchen, and then backyard. And then I remember, see, I keep on thinking, but this is a different house. I would never have been at that house, I don't think. Because I do remember, like, my grandma being in, oh, no. That's the house off of Evanston. There's a street here in town called Evanston. My cousin, like, she found the address one time, and she's like, we need to drive by there and see it. My cousin always, like, now she's real interested in the history of all this kind of stuff. But there was, like, a basement. I remember walking down the basement one time, and it was, like, super scary. And it was, like, absolutely, like, you know when they talk about damp basements? Like, this was damp. It was, like, and like cement, like 6 by 6 feet. But anyway, I need to go look at some of these houses. I wonder if I could find a house in Evanston tonight too. I have nothing better to do than drive around and talk into a camera, so. But anyway, then my mom and my aunt shared a bedroom, and then the other bedroom was my grandma and my mom's stepdad, and then they had one bathroom that they shared. And my mom like was explaining this to me, and she was like, I cannot believe this house is so expensive for this small house. But then they would climb out their bedroom window in the summers. They would like make these like tuna fish salad sandwiches while my grandma was asleep, and then they would crawl out, and there was somehow for them to get on the roof, my mom would say, like they would like climb up from the window and get on the roof, and then they would sit on the roof and they would eat tuna fish salad sandwiches in the summer. And she was like, she said it was like one of her favorite memories from the house. So my mom moved in there when she was like in 7th grade. I think my aunt would have been 7th or 8th grade, and my aunt would have been in, she was like 2 years ahead, 59, yeah, she was 2 years ahead of her. So if my mom was in 8th grade, my aunt would have been in 10th grade, going into 10th grade at this house. But I remember being at my grandma's apartment. Now, that would have been after my parents were divorced, and I can remember being with my grandma, and so we would sit there, and my grandma had this, did I ever talk about this ashtray? She had this thing, it was like this stand, and it had this glass ashtray that would sit in it, right? And she would just sit there, and she would shout numbers out, The Price is Right. She knew like every number on The Price, she'd be like 32 cents. I'd be like, Grandma, how do you know all this kind of stuff? She knew every number on The Price is Right? She wanted to be on it so bad. Well, then we would watch the stories, and then my mom would come and get me like 4 or 5, but like right before my mom would come and get me, like a half an hour before, my grandma's friends would come over and they would play bridge. And my grandma had this little table like off to like the kitchen next to the sliding glass door, and she would play bridge with her friends, and they all had these little metal ashtrays. I have them at home. I mean, to this day, I still have them. I'll have to bring them out and show you. They're like metal around the edge. They look like coasters almost, and then they're glass underneath it, but they're ashtrays, true story. And my grandma, she'd have all these decks of cards out there, and they would play bridge, and they would just like the whole house would smell like smoke, just like literally smoke everywhere. Do you remember when people used to smoke so much like that in their house? I said that in a video of mine not too long ago, and somebody was like, yeah, I still smoke in my house. I thought that was really interesting. I don't know anybody today that smokes in their house. Vapes in their house. I know some people that have like, you know, they vape in their house, but I don't know people that smoke in their house. Anyway, I miss that apartment. I wish I still had those TV trays. I wonder if Caroline has them. Caroline's kept a lot of stuff in her basement that I don't have. No, because my aunt would have had some of them, and when my aunt passed away and we were cleaning out her house, I didn't see any TV trays, so there must be no TV trays. It's just more junk that I don't need to, you know, clutter up my house. But isn't that weird how you don't know your history? Like, I mean, there's nobody to tell us that now. So there's this house that my mom and my aunt grew up, and then there's the house that my grandma lived in, and that was off of Evanston, and that must be where she had Misty, because there's I can see in my head like a chain link fence out back. This is about to stop, so I'm just going to stop it right now because it's 23 minutes. I'll be right back. You know who would know, though, actually, is my dad. My dad would know. I could ask my dad where that house was. I bet he would know. There was like, I'm gonna ask him that tomorrow. There was like this chain link fence around it. Kind of a real poor neighborhood. I don't know that if I looked at the house that I would know it. Does that make sense? My mom, on a lot of pictures that she has, look at this apartment complex they built. Okay, this used to be absolutely nothing. This is where my office is. It's called Broderpool. And now it's this apartment complex called The Coil, and they have a Fresh Time grocery store in there. Are you kidding? Y'all, I turned off the camera and then took a single shot picture of myself. I'm like hitting all kinds of buttons. I don't even know what I'm hitting. I'm trying to just get this. Could you just not work? Could you just work for me? Okay. So anyway, what's so funny is that in the corner of my camera it says AF, Dad, AF. Okay, so now I'm going to 50. I'm at 62nd in College right now, and I'm going to 52nd in Central. But my dad would know where that house is, so I'll have to ask him. Yeah, when I was turning the camera back around, I turned it off like an idiot. But this part where my mom grew up, which is called Broderpool, has now like been so revamped that like some of these houses that are along here, like they like this whole neighborhood is now called, are you ready for this? It used to be called South Broderpool, or it used to just be Broderpool, but people like would say, like, you know, certain, like, now they call it Sobro, and there's all these like artsy restaurants, and they've really turned it. I mean, like, here there's some, like, there's a coffee shop called Plug-In, and there's this, oh, there's Ambrosia. Oh, that's where Ambrosia is. Interior design firms, wine shop, Vine and Table. I mean, it's like real artsy around here, and they've turned all these houses and apartments that used to like not be like great. They've turned them into these like amazing homes and apartment buildings now. It's incredible. So I think it would make my mom really happy. She always loved this neighborhood. But I remember my grandma having this house. It was very similar, but I remember there being more bedrooms than that. Maybe, I don't know. But I do remember there being some kind of like spooky basement that my cousin Carolyn and I went down into. But she had this like chain link fence, and she had like one of those garages that was like in back that you like drove into. Do you guys know what I'm talking about? Like where you drive in a driveway and you have like a detached garage, but it like you closes down. Like I remember she had that, but like nobody was parking their car in the garage. It was just like a bunch of junk in there. And I remember like being there in the summer in her backyard. I don't, that's all I kind of remember. I don't know how long she would have lived there. She must have not lived there long because of when I was a kid, because, so here I want to show you guys something too, since I'm right here. So this is Fresh Market, of course, but right here is the Jazz Kitchen, and that is the first place that I ever saw Alex do salsa. And he did a salsa contest with his cousin Maya. I think this is 52nd Street right here. Yeah. He did a salsa contest, 53rd Street. Oh, I'll turn here. He did a salsa contest with his cousin Maya, and they did not win because they got screwed over. Okay, 52nd. I don't know that I'm going to know this house, you guys, honestly. I do know that it's a one-story house. 52nd and Broadway. I'll die if I find this. Is Central the other way? No, Central's this way. Because then my grandma moved in these apartments called the Knob in the Woods, but she lived there for a while, but that's not where she lived when she died. In fact, the apartment that she lived in when she died, my mom and I never really went to that often because my grandma would come and stay with us, and I don't remember it a whole lot, but I do know that my cousin at the time, who was like 16, she was cleaning my grandma's apartment like once a week because she had a really hard time going over there after my grandma passed away. And here's 52nd and Central, 53rd and Central. This doesn't look like where my mom and I came. I know it was on this side. God, I wish I knew the address. It was right by a school. I kind of feel like it was one of those back there, but I used to go to a meeting on Saturday mornings there at that church. This is 52nd Central. That's not it. That's not it. If I saw it, I would totally know it. These are 2 stories. These are so cute though through here. So you guys want to see where my mom, I don't know if you guys will be able to see it, but this is like kind of like where my mom grew up. It looks very much like Halloween, that movie Halloween. Okay, I have a feeling that it was one of those first 2 houses I saw. Because now we're at 50th, and then unless I got the address wrong, and it's more like 48th and Central. Where's the school? Do you feel like when you've seen something, like you would know it if you saw it again? Like that's how I feel like about it. See, these are all 2 stories. They're beautiful. Look at this. Like this is was not like a nice area when I was growing up. And now look, they've like redid all these houses and they're like so beautiful. I don't know where it is, but it's a one-story house. That's how I know that these are not it. Maybe my mom said it was Park, 52nd Park. Here's a school. It was right by a school. This is the Center for Inquiry now, but it's School 70. Okay, this is so weird. Is it gonna be right down here? Oh my God. You guys are like, Peter, we really honestly do not care whatsoever. She said she could walk to school. God, some of these houses are humongous. I have a feeling it was Park, 52nd Park. 52nd Central. I'm gonna go down Park and then come back up Central. Just bear with me, you guys. My cousin actually, she went out to the graveyard where my aunt or my grandma is buried, and she found like my grandma's gravestone and everything. And all she had to do was like ask. They like had all the information for her that she wanted. I was like, they like gave her a map and everything, and she sent it to me. And I don't know, like I act like I want to know all this stuff, but maybe I don't. Like I still, you know, I've never gone to like I've never watched the video of my mom from my cousin's wedding. I don't know why. I was talking to Alex about that the other day. He was like, do you want to watch it today? And I was like, no, not really. Alex and I, so anyway, so today was a good day. I like, I'll just tell you guys what I did today. I filmed, oh my God, like look at these houses, you guys, like seriously, can you see this? Look at this. This is like massive. That house did not exist when my mom was in high school. I just love driving around looking at houses. Okay, my mom's, I know you guys keep on getting like facial shots of me, I'm sorry. It must have been those first couple houses that I saw when I first came by. Although here's the school right here, so she could have walked down here and gone right to school. Alex got off work early because the bathroom people were supposed to come today, okay, at 5:30. Do you remember that? I said something about this, I think, the other night. The same, and we said we did not want the same guys we had before, right? Well, they didn't send the same guy that they had before. You know why? They didn't send anybody. And Alex called, and he goes, it was like quarter till, and they still hadn't come. And Alex said, yeah, we were supposed to have, okay, 48th and Park. He was like, we were supposed to have somebody come out here at 5:30 today. He had just talked to them on Friday. And the guy was like, no, your appointment is for tomorrow. And Alex goes, no. And Alex was really nice to him on the phone. And he goes, no, our appointment's not for tomorrow. We would never schedule it on a Tuesday night. And he said, because we have other things we have planned on Tuesday nights. Because the weeks that we don't have marriage counseling, Alex has his individual session. So we would never, it's going to be here. These houses all look like this. Holy shit. But I'm not going to know which one it is. Oh, no. It's this one right here. It is this one right here, and you guys can't see it. I know for a fact it's this one because it has a round sidewalk in front, and I remember my mom showing me that one. Yeah, you can't see it. It's that one right there. Now I understand how they sat on the roof. I'll have to show you guys another day. There's windows. There's these two little windows up front. That's it. Oh my God. I can't believe I found it. 50th and Park. Oh my God. You'll totally understand the tuna fish salad sandwich story when I show you. I cannot believe that. And I remember when we came up, there was like this like round driveway in front. Oh my God, or round sidewalk in front. Cannot believe I found it. I'm gonna have to call Caroline tomorrow. That's crazy. So anyway, oh Mom, I miss you. I miss hearing the stories, you know? I miss, like, I think that's one thing that we don't really think about when people pass away, is that when people pass away, the stories pass away, you know? Like, all the stories, all the history, everything. You know, just the stories behind the recipes, not just the recipes, you know, all of it. It's all gone, you know? You can't just call somebody up and say, yeah, Mom, do you remember that one time that we had that somebody over at Christmas? Who was that person? You know, you can't do that. You can't. When I was 8 years old, I can't remember what I was for Halloween. There's nobody to ask, you know, about your own history. The history's gone. Anyway, I'll talk about that in a second, but so I could tell Alex was real frustrated, and he goes, well, no, he goes, we would never have scheduled it for a Tuesday night. We have other things to do on Tuesday night. And the guy was like, no, your appointment's for Tuesday. And Alex looked at me and I go, no, I specifically remember you saying Monday night, because you asked me if I could do it Monday night. And he goes, yeah, he goes, we didn't say Monday night. And the guy must have like kind of challenged him, because Alex is like, well, wait a second. He was like, this is the second time. And they said to us the other night when like he was talking to him on the phone, Alex said, how long does it take? And the guy goes, we asked that people reserve 90 minutes. Do you remember before I went crazy with like how long? Is it not focusing? I noticed the other day, you guys, when I was watching it back, that it's like rattling a lot. Is it doing that for you? Is it like rattling up and down a lot? I apologize. Maybe I should just go on the interstate. That's why I sometimes just drive up and back on the interstate, 'cause it's better. But he said, the guy said on the phone, he said, well, we asked that people reserve 90 minutes. And Alex had him on speakerphone, and I rolled my eyes. And I go, okay, whatever. Because they were going to like try to work out some discount from us. And so the guy's like, well, why don't we reschedule? Now, let me just tell you, this is also the company, okay, that told us that we had to sit through a half an hour to 45-minute presentation just about all of the awards they had won, about their professionalism and all this kind of stuff. Number one, the first guy they send out there gets lippy with my husband, okay? Why? You got somewhere to go? You know? And then they don't show up for the appointment the second time. So Alex looked at me and he goes, what do you want to do? And I go, don't reschedule with them. And he gets off the phone and he's like, I'm sorry. And I go, why are you sorry? I go, you didn't do anything. He goes, okay, well, I hate to feel bad. I go, honey, I said, don't feel bad. This has nothing to do with you. I said, but I think that we could talk to Caroline, or we could talk to Jason, Melissa's husband. You know, both of them have done a lot of reconstruction on their house. I said, I think that we could find a contractor or somebody that does stuff with bathrooms. I think we could get a really fair estimate, probably somebody that's just as good as these people. I said, we don't need to continue to do work. These people have proved their professionalism. You know, these are the same people that told us that they could have the whole job done in 2 days. Because I said to Alex, I go, we have one bathroom. This is what I said to him last night. I go, okay, we have one bathroom. So even if we could pay to have the whole bathroom done right now, which we can't, I said, where would we take a shower? Where, you know, like we have a bathroom downstairs that has a sink and a toilet in it, but upstairs we have one shower, okay? Our bathtub doesn't even work because it like leaked into it's just a mess. We have a money pit. That's why we're trying to get this stuff taken care of. Whoa, sister, slow down. So anyway, so he was like, yeah, I totally agree with you. Let's call somebody else and get an estimate. And I said, you know, listen, if it has to be like, you know, a week that we can't be in the house, we'll just and we can afford it at some point, because these people bid us $12,000 for a shower. I said, I would rather see if we can get somebody that can give us a realistic estimate on our bathroom and possibly our kitchen countertops, that we can get all of that redone, because all of our cabinetry in the bathrooms and the kitchens, they just need to be stained. Okay, that's not a lot, and we can do that ourselves. So all we need to do, and replace the hardware. I said, all we need to do is get the bathroom. We need to get a new shower. I want to get a garden tub so I can actually take a bath with like Lush bath bombs and stuff. I think I said that the other day. And then I said, and then we need to get the countertops done in the bathroom. let's see what estimate they give us. It might not be as expensive as we think it is, as people have said to us, you know? And then maybe we can work it out over like a year, how much we can, you know, save for that, if we want to start saving for that, or, you know, if we can do payment plans or whatever. And he was like, yeah, I think that's a good idea. And I said, and then if it's going to take them a week to do all that stuff, like if they just need to come in here and do it straight through a week, we'll just go and stay at Jason and Melissa's or Tanya's, or we'll get a hotel so we don't have to bother anybody, and we'll just put the dogs in the kennel. It's just like, it's not that hard, you know? And he's like, yeah, that's a good idea. But I said, we're not going to use this company because they're just completely showed us that they're trash. I said, if they wanted to give me even 70% discount at this point, I said, I don't know that well, if they gave me 70% discount, I could deal with a whole lot of anything, to be honest with you. But they're not even offering that. Alex asked like 3 times on the phone the other day. He's like, okay, so you're coming out here for the 2nd time. And he's like, yeah, because we really want to see if we can get you guys a good discount. And Alex is like, well, what kind of good discount are you talking about? He's like, well, I don't know. We're going to have to do all kinds of estimates and see what it is you want, what we can give you. Alex goes, well, are you talking 10%? Are you talking 20%? Are you talking 2%? Are you talking 50%? He goes, well, I don't know. And Alex goes, so you're coming in here and you have absolutely no idea what kind of discount that you're going to be giving us for doing free advertising? Because what they want is they want us to put used pictures, before and after pictures, which fine, I could care less about that. But then put this huge sign in our yard that we have to keep there for like 6 months that we use them, and I don't even know that our HOA association will allow that. So and there was one other thing that they wanted us to do too. I can't remember what it was, but anyway, I was like, no. I said, this is ridiculous. I said, we can't even afford what kind of discount? Even if they gave us 10% discount, it's still expensive, you know? Which I know bathrooms and kitchens are expensive to redo. That's why we haven't done it up to this point, you know? When we had our bathroom fixed and we had all new flooring put in, we had all wood flooring put in upstairs and downstairs, and then we have slate in our entryway and in our kitchen, we had our toilets replaced. We got 2 new toilets. Like nice toilets, and then we had the wall in the bathroom done downstairs. And the reason we haven't redone it yet is because we don't know what we want to do with that bathroom. And I'm really afraid to start, like, without having like a plumber who really knows what he's doing and having all that stuff fixed, turn all that stuff back on, because I'm afraid it's going to leak through, you know? So anyway, so then Alex and I came home, or Alex and I were sitting there waiting, and now it's like 7:15, and Alex got off work early. He was so tired today. I felt so bad for him, and I looked at him and I said, you look exhausted, babe. And he was like, I am. I don't know why. He went to bed at 11 o'clock last night. He didn't have to work until 11 o'clock today, and so he slept till 10. He goes, I feel like I overslept. And he's like, I feel like I'm so tired. And I said, he looked exhausted. And I said, okay. And he goes, are you hungry? And I go, no. I said, I'm trying to eat healthy and whatever. And so he said, okay. And he was like, you don't want anything? And I said, well, I'm actually thinking about going in. And I know that these aren't super healthy, but whatever. I've been eating those, lightly sauced vegetables that come in the box. I don't know. Trisha Paytas got me hooked on them because I followed her mukbang, those little corn niblets, and now I'm like hooked on them. And so I said, I think I'm just gonna go get some of those lightly sauced vegetables that you put in the microwave, because they're not like, real fattening or high in calorie. And he was like, okay. He's like, I just don't want to cook. He was gonna make quesadillas, but he was like, I'm gonna go get the stuff to make quesadillas, but I just don't really want to cook. And I said, where do you want to go? I said, you're exhausted. Let's just go eat somewhere easy. I don't want something fattening. He goes, well, let's go to Piata, and then I can get a salad. I go, oh, they have pasta there. And he goes, and I said, I just won't eat healthy tonight. And this is what always happens to me, right? And he goes, they have healthy food at Piata. He goes, I eat there almost every day for lunch if I don't eat at Chipotle or Kroger Deli. And he does. He goes to Piata all the time. He loves it. If you don't know what Piata is, it's kind of like this little Italian, like fast food. It's kind of place, but it's more like Chipotle. It's like an Italian version of Chipotle, I would guess. I don't know. I ate there one time before. I've never had it since. And somebody sent us some gift cards, and I gave them to Alex because he goes there all the time. So we went, and I'm like looking at the menu, and I'm like, I don't want a salad, and there's like nothing on the menu. And Alex literally got like this spinach salad that looked like it maybe was 100 calories. I was like, how are you not more hungry than that? So anyway, because I'm a quantity eater. But I got this sandwich, and it was their summer avocado piata, I think is what it's called. But it had bacon in it, and so I had them take out the bacon, and it was 530 calories with the bacon. And then Alex and I both got lemonade. Oh my God, this wrap was so fantastic. It was so good. They like had like this yogurt drizzle dressing on it, Greek yogurt drizzle dressing, and it was like avocado, arugula, which Alex was like, I can't believe you like that with the arugula in it, but it kind of gave it like a little bit of a spicy flavor to it. And then it had like, I might go and get one tomorrow, I'm telling you, I really liked it. It was so good. And then it had this like corn salad on it that was so good. I love corn salad. I love corn anything. I just don't like corn on the cob, so that's not true. I don't like corn on the cob. But anyway, then after that we came home, and he was watching shows on his computer in bed, and that's when he like did the whole little recording thing for me where he was like playing the sounds for me so I could sleep. But anyway, then I fell asleep with little Boo Radley. Holding on to little Boo Radley, I fell asleep. And I woke up at like 11, which was so nice because I hadn't really taken a nap recently, and it was so nice just to lay in bed with my husband and just hang out with the dogs. It was so nice. Yeah, and that was my evening. It's weird going by that house, you know what I mean? Like, that house doesn't have like any true meaning to me. I mean, I never lived there, you know? I don't think I was ever there. I remember some house, but I don't know what house I was at. I cannot wait to tell Caroline that I found that house. She's gonna die. I mean, I knew I would find it eventually, because that area of Broader, I knew it was between like 3 or 4 streets. Like, it had to have been in that area. But I do specifically remember my mom saying that she walked to school. The high school that my mom went to had closed this year. It was the last year that they had it open. They're turning them into condos now. Isn't that weird? My mom and my aunt went to Broader High School. The fight song is, I'm a ripple rocket, a mighty ripple rocket. Who they tell you why they came? Something like that. She would sing it all the time. It is weird though. Oh, it's gonna stop. Again, it's at 23 minutes and it's gonna stop. I'll stop. It is weird though, you know, not knowing your, I mean, I know my history of my life, right? But like, when there's pieces that are missing of like who somebody was, or, you know, what something was, or, you know, like just wanting to know like about my grandma or something, or just some random question that comes up. It doesn't happen very often anymore to me. But like, I never ask my dad questions about, I know equally just as much about my dad's history growing up as I do my mom's. And my dad has like a really like strong memory of his growing up, you know, and what times are like, and his stories are so interesting. My dad's are so funny, you know. My dad was the youngest of 5 kids. My dad was born in, he's on the year, he was born in 40. And he'll be 78 this year on our anniversary. We got married on my dad's birthday. And he was the youngest of 5 kids. My dad did not know his dad until he was 4 years old, because he was in World War II, and my grandfather was in Germany. And then when he came back, my grandfather was a homicide detective in Fort Wayne, Indiana, and he actually solved the first like big deal murder case up there. And it was this woman that killed her husband, and then he drowned him in a lake. And my dad has all these stories from when he was growing up, and he always talks about how like incredibly poor they were. The other thing he talks about that's interesting is like, my dad and his family were like really involved in their church growing up. So my dad grew up Lutheran, I grew up Lutheran, and but there's like different kinds of sects of S-E-C-T-S of Lutheranism. And one is called Missouri Synod, and it is very, like, hardcore. They did not grow up Missouri Synod. I don't know what I can't remember what it's called. It's not Missouri Synod. But anyway, so it's more like, because my mom was Episcopalian, so it's more of like a laid-back Protestant, religion. But in their neighborhood, like, everybody that lived in their neighborhood all went to the same church. I was adjusting it again. I'm so tired of this stupid thing. But anyway, so I was talking about my dad. My dad's best friend growing up, his dad was a pastor. So, and I think he's like who baptized me, actually. And my dad's best friend still lives in Fort Wayne from when he was growing up, because when my dad's brother died, he was at the funeral and I saw him. And my dad has talked about through the years, like, everything they did socially as a family, they did with the church, that they, like, potluck suppers 3 nights a week, and, the church was in the same neighborhood, so everybody in that neighborhood, and my dad, I can remember him saying, like, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, that, the old churches of the old days, like, were dying away because they were, still believing in that same kind of mentality of, like, neighborhood churches, and that just people don't buy into that today, It's really interesting, like, in Indianapolis, I don't know how it is in other cities, but there are, like, some churches here in Indianapolis, well, in Carmel, which is, like, like, in the suburbs, it's where I grew up, there's 2 big churches there. There's a Grace, and there's Northview Christian, and they're, like, ginormous. Like, I mean, ginormous churches. I have no idea how much money these churches bring in, but their parking lots, literally, for Christmas services, have shuttle service. I'm not even lying to you, okay? It's ridiculous. And, like, everybody that's, like, lives on the north side of Indianapolis, if they're not Catholic, they go to those churches. There's, like, 3 Catholic churches on the north side of Indianapolis, too. But then there's, like, all these, like, kind of, like, new agey churches in Indianapolis. And there's this one in Indianapolis. A lot of people that are in sobriety go to this church, and it's called I-Town Church. Like an iPhone, like I-Town Church. And a lot of people in Indianapolis go to it. My stepmom went to it for a long time. She really liked it. She kind of church hops, my stepmom. She tries different churches and stuff. And, but there's still, like, a lot of old churches. The church that I went to, where my mom's funeral was at, which is an old school Lutheran church with stained glass windows and all of that kind of stuff, I mean, it looks like a church, old church. A lot of these new churches are, like, in strip malls and stuff. And, I don't think they have, like, the same congregations that they used to have. It smells so good. Something around here smells so good. Oh my God. I stopped going to church when I was, like, 15. My mom stopped, like, my parents let me decide at that point if I wanted to go. And it wasn't that I hated it, like, I know a lot of people have issues with their church. I grew up in a very liberal church. I have no issues with my church. My church I never once heard any kind of sermon of anybody saying anything derogatory about gay people. I never heard anything bad. The sermons were always very open-minded. They usually talked about something in the current events, and they applied it to the lesson. The music was beautiful. The people were kind. I didn't have any bad experiences growing up in church. I just didn't, I went to Sunday school. I was confirmed. I went through confirmation. I did all that stuff. I was all that, I didn't have any bad experiences. I can't say anything bad about it. It didn't do anything to me. It didn't resonate with me. I didn't internalize any of it. And I can remember being in high school, and these people that, like, I went to high school with would, like they literally in class in a public school would say things like about, like, they would say something, and then they would say, like, well, Jesus Christ, our Savior, and stuff. And, like, they really believed it. Like, they believed it, And I would think to myself, these people are such phonies. Like, I know that they don't believe it, right? Well, I think that was because I didn't have any belief in it. I just, it was never that I've never been atheist. I've always been very agnostic, in that I know that there's something out there, I just didn't know what it was. Today I have a very firm feeling about what my spiritual beliefs are. Those are like, I'll talk about it on here. I have no issue talking about it. People will probably be like, huh? But it's really about, for me, combined collective ideas of compassion, kindness, things like that. I think, I do think there's a power greater than, this is just me. You don't have to believe this. I respect anybody's opinions. My husband has no spiritual beliefs whatsoever. I would say that he is 90% atheist, 10% agnostic is kind of where he lies in all of this. Do I think that he could be convinced otherwise? Maybe, but it's not my job. And in fact, all 3 long-term relationships I've been in, the other person has been an atheist. Which is interesting because I'm a highly spiritual person, so I don't think that it has to cause problems. Alex really respects my spirituality. We talk a lot about it. He asks questions, you know. I respect his lack of beliefs. I know why it is. He had a cousin that was killed in, they were walking down the street in Venezuela when Alex was like 10, and he was killed. He was shot. And Alex feels like, if there was a God, why would a God do something like that? And it stems from that, and it goes into other things that have happened in his life, and I understand that, you know? And I respect that. Those are his beliefs, that's his life. But I never internalized it. Like, you know, I always thought God was like this guy with a beard that lived in a cloud. I don't even know where I got that idea from, you know? And I just couldn't really wrap my head around it. It didn't mean anything to me. And it really didn't until I was sober 2 years. I didn't really have any kind of spiritual belief until I was 2 years sober, you know, like, that was when I started really, really taking a look at it. And I remember reading years later, I don't know when I read it, but the book, She Said Yes, I think is what it's called, about the girl that was shot at Columbine. And she, like, he looked at her and he asked her, do you believe in God? And she said yes, and he shot her. And I don't know if that story's true. I mean, there's a lot of speculation about that story. But I can remember reading it. It was a super powerful book. It's really small. Somebody that I worked with gave it to me at the time. And I remember reading it and thinking to myself, how does somebody at such a young age can say so firmly what they believe? You know, I just never internalized it. It didn't mean anything to me. Today it means something to me. Today, you know, I've witnessed miracles in my life, and what I mean by that is that people that were in a hopeless state of mind and spirit that have been restored. I found out a friend of mine tonight is out on the streets using. God, I didn't think I would say this tonight in this video. I really didn't think I would go there. Okay. That was intentionally me turning it off. I needed to take a minute. I woke up tonight and got a message that my friend who recently overdosed and then got back into recovery and was in a halfway house, has since left the halfway house and is using again, and somebody saw him. I feel powerless. And you know, I know enough about the disease of addiction, and I know enough about, you know, Al-Anon to know that, you know, the 3 C's are, to anybody involved with alcoholics and addicts, you know, you didn't cause it, you can't cure it, you can't control it. I know that. But I'm sad. I'm sad as shit. And, I know to people that don't have any belief in a higher power, this won't make any sense, but like, I really wanted to get on the vlog and, you know, talk about this great day that I had, because I did, you know, and I just kind of wanted to get my mind off things, and I use this vlog sometimes as this cathartic way to get through things. And it's so weird that in talking about God, it took me there, you know, because I don't, there's not a whole lot more that I can do than pray, you know, for him. And, but I also don't know what his God or whatever's up there, his plan is for him. I did get to talk to him in between when he got out of the hospital, and you know, I said, I love you, I care about you. But it's your life, I can't, you know. I know so many people that love him and care about him. And I think that this is where my husband and I differ a lot on, like, the spiritual. Like, I understand where Alex is coming from, you know. That why would God put, like, horrible things out there into the world? But I don't know that I think that that's how my God works. I think that maybe, you know, there's this saying in recovery that God never gives you more than you can handle in a day. And I have a friend of mine that always says he doesn't believe that he believes that we're giving a lot of shit in a day, but with God's grace we can get through anything. And I tend to kind of agree with that a little bit more, you know, that with grace and serenity and remaining teachable, being kind, caring, and compassionate, forgiveness, being there when somebody needs us. I think that's the message of any kind of religious affiliation, or, you know, I mean, if you take just the core values, not the craziness that's around a lot of religions, but, you know, like, I don't know, I'm not going to speak to crazy religions, but, you know, like, the religion that I was brought up in taught me to love people, to be compassionate, to be kind, you know. Be the example that's been set for us. Really did not expect us going there tonight, you know. And you know what's really sad about it is this, is that as sad as I am, like, my life goes on. Like, I'm living a really good life as a result of staying clean and sober. And there's this young lady, and she tweets me every month on her birthday, and her name's Katie, and she just tweeted me the other day and said 10 months. And that's awesome, you know, like, that moves me to joy just as much as hearing about my friend kind of moves me to sadness. To see somebody have this ability to change their life, you know? I don't call that God, call that Buddha, call that Jesus, call it whatever you want to call it. But I think that, you know, there's some kind of really positive energy that goes on there. Maybe it's just human energy, I don't know. I know that, like, people don't have to suffer today, and like I was going to say, you know, as sad as I am about my friend, it's like, who knows? He may never get off the streets, he may never get sober, he may die. But life goes on. here for him if he needs me. He's got a lot of people that are there for him if he needs them. And what's even more heartbreaking than that is that as I'm saying this on this video, I know there's at least 5 people out there that are watching this video right now that are having active alcoholics and addicts in their lives that don't know what to do. You know? And in the world right now, somebody's dying of an overdose, and there's millions of people actively using and hurting their lives and hurting the people around them. I mean, that makes me sad. I don't know. And you know, like, that's why I share my story, because there's nothing else that I can do but continue to share my story about my life and how I live my life. And that, I mean, you hear my stories. I mean, what did I do today? I said I had a really great day today. Well, what did I do? I made videos. I, went and saw my counselor. I went out to eat at Piata with my husband, and we took a nap in bed. And I have a really great life. It's pretty simple. It's not grandiose. I don't need that life, you know? I need serenity. I need people around me that love me and that I love them, and I guess inside of me I'm kind of like searching to figure out a way to turn this into something positive to end on, but I don't know, you know? Sometimes I think in the world there's just sad things that happen, and there's no rhyme or reason to them. And, you know, my friend has fought this battle for 10 plus years of his life, and he goes in and goes out and goes in and goes out. And one day he's gonna lose. We have a lot of control over the condition of our lives. A lot of us. There are a lot of people out there. There are millions and millions of people that have no control over whatsoever to the conditions of their lives and live in situations, horrible situations, where they have no condition, they can't control anything that happens to them. I feel so blessed that today I'm out of the pull of that addiction that makes me want to use today. And that's all I have is today, you know? I don't know what I'll feel like tomorrow. It makes me very, very sad. I like looked at the camera. It kind of surprised me for a second. I was like, what's that? Oh, it's a camera. Anyway. I don't want to end this on a sad note. I don't know what to say. I get, just kind of came out. I didn't expect it to come out like that. So, I'm not going to apologize, obviously. It's my life. And I know you guys will be like, don't apologize for it anyway. And thank you for all of you out there that are saying I'm really sorry about your friend. I'm sorry about my friend too. Thank you. Learn, if I can say anything, learn from it, you know? We don't have to hurt ourselves or hurt other people. Addiction is a lot about wanting to numb ourselves and not wanting to feel. But ultimately we're hurting ourselves and we're hurting other people, and I don't think that's really what any of us want. I don't think we want to hurt anymore. I just don't think we want to feel pain. I think we're tired of feeling pain, you know? I don't want to feel pain. Do you want to feel pain? I don't think any of us want emotional pain or physical pain, especially emotional pain, you know? Like, any of us want that. I just don't think we want to hurt. And that's why I say, tell your story, get it out, journal it, write it, get it out. Don't let it, own you anymore, you know? So, I don't know. I'll keep you guys updated if I hear anything, and thank you for the support. Thank you for going around on the ride with me today to go see my mom's house. That meant a lot to me. I can't wait to tell Caroline about that. I'm dying for a tuna fish salad sandwich, but I can't have one because I'm a vegetarian. It'd probably make me gag and maggot now anyway. Alright, you guys. I'm sorry to be so maudlin at the end of this. But it's my life, and I like sharing it with you, and it means the world to me that you guys listen. I love you so much, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye.